Hello there, and a very warm welcome to this video series on creating old school samples using Logic X. My name is Larry Holcomb, aka Get to Know. I'm really excited to be delivering this video series. I've been a long-term Logic user, probably pushing about 20 years now, and I also predominantly make my music by making old school sounding samples and then sampling myself. And I do that predominantly because I want to develop as a musician, so it gave me a chance to practice playing instruments whilst making music at the same time, and I really enjoy it. So I feel like I'm in a good position to be able to deliver this kind of video series. So what we're going to do is create an old school kind of soul, gospel-y sounding track, thinking kind of late 60s, kind of 70s, that kind of era. And we're going to be using, obviously, all the plugins from Logic. So we're going to be playing, electric pianos, organs, live bass. I'm going to record in some guitar, and we can also be blending that with some Apple loops as well and a drummer track to create the drums. And then hopefully by the end of it, we'll have a very nice kind of retro sounding sample that we could then go on to use to create a beat with. I'm thinking, for hip hop producers and things like that. Okay, so in this first video, what I want to do is really kind of set the musical intention of what we're trying to create. Now, what we're really trying to do is make a section of a song, essentially. That's what we're looking at, and that's how you should think about this, because, for something to sound compelling when it's sampled, it kind of needs to sound like kind of a finished production, I suppose, that we're sampling. So that's what we're kind of aiming for. So we have to kind of, in a way, get into the mindset of a live band. Now, when a live band will be coming up with music, they could start with different things. They could start with, the drummer playing a beat, the guitarist playing something on the guitar. Often they would start with a song, a singer would write something maybe to the piano or to the guitar, and they'd bring that into the other band members, and then they'd start jamming around with that. Now, I'm going to take that kind of approach. So I want to start with a kind of vocal concept, build it around that. The main reason for that is that if we started, say, with the drums, which would be completely possible, then we'd be our vocals would be fixed. So we'd be trying to find some kind of vocal that would fit that kind of groove from the drums. Whereas if we work the other way around, so we start with a vocal, for instance, then we can fit the drums a little bit more around the vocal. So I'm going to approach it from that kind of direction. Okay, so I'm going to do that using Apple loops. Now, if we come into here and we choose instrument, we can go to vocals, or we can search via genre. So we could go in and try jazz, for example. When you find ones you like, you can use this favorite option here to go through and favorite them. And when you do so, they will appear up here in this section. We come and click on it. You'll see that now we have all the favorited Apple loops. Okay, so I'm actually going to take these two out because I didn't want to favorite those. But ahead of time, I've just gone through and found some just to make it a little bit quicker. But, I suggest that you do the same. Just go through and find ones that kind of speak to you. Just give myself a bit more space here. So this is what I found.
My. Hey, oh, stand up. Ooh, oh, baby. Oh.
This last one's a little bit modern sounding, a bit kind of modern R&B almost sounding, but I quite like that. Ooh, the first bit, and I really like this more layered kind of gospel choir. So what we can do is we can set a key here. So I've set this to be A minor. So these will now be kind of being auditioned in a key. When we bring them in, they should stick to this key here. So let's bring that one in. They'll also stick to the tempo as well. But it's taking the tempo from the loop. I actually want to make this as 60 BPM. So that's obviously making things sound a little bit too slow. What we could do is take this off, essentially kind of following the tempo, and try and get this to be sounding good at 60 beats per minute, just manually, just by stretching it. So. Yeah, so I like the sound of that. And I did that, I stretched it by holding down Alt, coming down to the bottom right, and you see that this is normally a resize tool. But if we hold down Alt, we can resize that and stretch it at the same time. Okay, so let's have a look at this Jesse lyric. Okay, let's bring that in. So I want that to kind of come in right away. So on that downbeat of bar 2. Okay, so obviously that sounds a bit strange, so I'm going to take this here and I'm going to take it off follow tempo and key, but now it's going to be out of key, but we can fix that. So that doesn't sound too bad like that, actually. Let me just get up a piano here so I can just see and make sure that everything's working. Let's use the vintage electric piano, is fine. So something's not working here, so I think this is still working on this C minor key, which would make sense. So what we need to do is take that down 3 semitones, which we can do using transpose to get it into A minor. Just can stretch it out to get a little bit more in the end there. So I want to stretch this. I'm just doing this using kind of a feeling for when it sounds right. So it's lost the transpose, so I'll just put that back in. So I still want that to be a little bit slower. So what we could do is bring in the flex option here, stretch this out a little bit. There we go. So you can use the Alt drag option, or you can obviously use flex time to do a bit more precisely. This one was an easy one just to drag out. I'm not so bothered about the fidelity of the vocal at this point because we're trying to get something quite gritty and old school sounding. So we're going to process this quite a lot. Yeah, I'm not too fussed if things sound a little bit kind of grainy and lo-fi. But let's listen to how this sounds again with the metronome. So I'm pretty happy with that. So just to make sure everything's working harmonically, I'm just going to have a play with some chords from main and minor and make sure this is going to fit. Don't worry if you don't play the keys. I'm going to show you a way using Logic of being able to put in some nice sounding chords without being able to play the keyboard. But I'm just going to have a little jam and make sure this is going to work. Yeah, so that seems to be sitting nicely harmonically with the scale of A minor and, just putting some chords in there. So what we'll do next is, in the next video, we'll lay down a drum foundation. Now we've got a vocal in place, we'll drag it out to give us a little bit more to work with, and we'll lay down a drum foundation using the drummer track, which is a great way of being able to get some very, very authentic sounding drums. And to be honest, the drums are such a huge part of making it sound authentic as a sample, because drums are a big aspect of what will, drive what decade we're in and what kind of genre we're working with. So yeah, the drums are going to be essential for this. So in the next video, we're going to have a look at a drummer track. But in this video, we went through some Apple loops. I just told you about favoriting Apple loops, and I came up with some possible options to work with. Remember, you can favorite using this little kind of checkbox here. Come down to here to find the favorited ones. And then I had to do a little bit of extra work just because I didn't want to follow the tempo because I wanted to work half time, but I did want to follow the key. So I actually had to do this a bit manually. I stretched this one just to get it more how I was hearing it. So that was just a manual kind of thing. And with this one, I didn't want it to follow the tempo directly because it was going to be too fast. So I basically slowed the tempo down, and then I actually stretched this manually and transposed it manually, just coming up into the region parameters area here and just transposed that down by 3 semitones. And that gave us this. So I may come back and just tweak this a little bit further later on, but we're ready now to lay down some drums. So I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.